Okay, Gulf Precast is a company which is manufacturing precast element for the construction industry. So we are working, for example, we are asked to build a high-rise building or 2,000 villas or an airport, whatever. And we have a number of factories in which we manufacture precast elements, then we bring them to the sites and then we install them. So in order to get the final product that the client has asked for. And myself, I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Gulf Precast and also a partner in the company.
Yeah. I understand that you are into a business where the project planning and production go hand.
Now, first of all, the main reason for which precast is selected by a client is, well, part of it is because of the enhanced quality and the cost, which is less than traditional construction. But the most important criteria for a client is the time. You select precast because you want your construction development to go fast, okay? So because that's the key importance for our client, the first step for us is to plan the project. And when we use the Ramco, one of the criteria for selection is to have a very strong and powerful tool in the planning process. And Ramco helped us integrate Primavera to their base product, and that's what we do first. So in our project deployment, first there is the planning of the project, and then we need to design the project. We need to detail at each step what needs to be produced, and then our engineering department is directly in the system is detailing the different elements that need to be produced. So then based on the planning, so they will say, okay, for the ground floor of this high-rise building, these are the different precast elements which needs to be produced, and of course on that time. And then for the first floor, these are the ones that needs to be produced, and so on. So this information comes to the production floor. And the Ramco system helps us to define, because there are a number of constraints, such as the construction of the molds, byproduct, which needs to be done before the production itself can start. It helps us to define the best way in terms of time in order to produce on time. And then we produce and we report the production inside the system. Then we deliver. There is the whole logistic part of delivering them to site, which is also reported in the system, and then the site installation work, which we also do in the system. So from the beginning of the process of the project deployment till the end of the process of the project deployment, we use Ramco throughout. And for us, each project is different from another, and the whole chain is based on the project itself. Okay, now what is very important for us, and that was one of the criteria of selection of Ramco, is that we are an industrial company, and we wanted to have an application which caters for industrial companies. What I mean is that most of our employees are not sitting in an office. Most of our employees are sitting on the shop floor, whether in a factory or on site, or even drivers who are bringing the different elements to the sites. Now, what we need is these people which are on the floor to be able to inform the system of what's happening and to feed the information inside. There is no way for us that those people will leave whatever they're doing in the factory or on site, go back to the office and then report what they're doing. They need to do it right on the spot whenever they do it. In order to do that, we've asked Ramco to come up with the iPhone technology, in which the employees directly on the floor will report what's happening, and so that we can have in real time the deployment of the process. So we're using iPhones, and another very important element also is that we wanted to have total accuracy about what is produced, what is delivered, what is erected. So we ask also Ramco to provide us with a barcoding system which enables us, as soon as an element, precast element is produced, to barcode this element, to know from then onwards, to know exactly where we're going to place it on the stockyard. So you can scan the area in which you're going to position this element, and then scan the element to say, okay, this is in this element which is exactly at this place. When you want to deliver something to the site, you know where is what. Then you load it on the trailer. You can scan the trailer itself, saying, okay, that's this trailer. Then scan each of the different elements which are on the trailer, so you know what is leaving the factory. The site manager knows exactly what is on the way to be received to him, and when the site manager erects, installs those different elements, he also scans the different elements, and then that reports the fact that the construction has taken place. So we're using these two technology of the iPhone reporting and the barcode scanning in order to help us in the whole production process. First of all, the project is not only tracked from a deployment point of view, planning, engineering, factory, logistics and erection. It's also tracked from a cost point of view. So each and every project, there is an estimation which is done at the beginning of the project, telling us that we think that the cost for each and every step of the deployment should be that much. And with the system, we're tracking the actual cost of the project, and we can compare the estimation with the cost incurred, and that helps us in real time to find out if there are any deviation here, and if there are deviation, we can immediately take action. We don't need to wait to have the data later on, so that we don't wait the end of the project to know whether the project is profitable or is losing, because we can change direction, or we can improve and take actions right whenever the deviation starts to happen. Another important factor also is that we are eliminating waste. Before we implemented Ramco, there were instances in which we were overproducing because we did not know perfectly what we were doing. So each process owner was maintaining his own set of data of what was produced, what was delivered, or what was erected, and the data were never matching. So at the end of the project, the site team would say, well, we are missing such elements, and the factory would say that no, we have delivered them, and the site said, well, they're not here, please produce them. And at the end you find out that you end up with an overproduction because those elements were either misplaced in the factory or misplaced on site, or because there was the wrong tagging, so a letter was wrongly written on an element, and so you had an overproduction. With the system, there's no such thing. First of all, there's no wrong tagging because we put the barcode directly on the element as soon as they are produced, based on the scheduling of the production for the day. So no more R, which is read as a P, or things like that. And we know exactly we're working on the same data. So we know what has been produced, we know what has been delivered, we know that what has been installed. So we can say, well, they must be on site, for example. We know that they're on the site, and we know where they're supposed to be on site because it has been reported in the system. So we finally, this is a great way for us to ensure that we do not produce something which has got no value, neither for us nor for our client. Yeah, it's great, in fact. And you know, when you're hearing people and they tell you about what they found as key advantages with the use of Ramco, then it brings you some idea. You know, I took some note about oh, why don't we do also this, and why don't we do also that. So now I'm going to go back to my team, and going to go back to my Ramco team also and say, okay, maybe we should develop these parts more. So that gives us good ideas at the end of the day. It will be very, very useful. Thank you. My pleasure.